Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke. But I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
All right, I'm still with Melissa, and she swears to Buddha I didn't offend her with my BFD comment. So
not at all.
All right, I just it's not my goal. So in the break we were talking about, and again, you were in Texas, I was in South Florida until '95, and then I was outside of Boston. So I was outside of Palm Beach, then I was outside of Boston, then a small stint in Pennsylvania, and then I was outside of New York for the lion's share of my career. So you started to say you want to talk about finance from the top down, and I'm going to let you go.
Yeah. So I think for people that are outside of the industry, it's really important to understand it is a very top-down type of industry. From day one, the people that are coming in, they're taught the metrics, production, assets, year-over-year growth, the more. So it almost feels like in the background, you've got the people at the top with those long, handlebar mustaches, twirling their mustaches and counting their dollars. And that's not super fair, but in the back of my mind, that's where I'm thinking. So it's a system that really does reward the go type thing, which is just not where a lot of us are, especially now as the system's evolving.
Yeah, now you're making me reminisce about the number of things that was said to me about production.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I can remember a man commenting on, "Don't you want to make more money?" And I said, if I had a wife and an assistant, sure. And then I can remember when Shearson was bought out by Smith Barney, it was 95, 93, 94, 95, somewhere in there. I had been licensed, I don't know, about a year. And the Jamie Dimon top down. It was also who was the other guy? I can't think of his name. But the production stipulations at that time, let's say it was 95, they wanted the consultants each to generate gross 400 to 500,000. Mm-hmm. And at that time, the payout was 40% to the broker. Mm-hmm. So you go now, because and I had left a planning firm. Shearson was a planning firm. They were pushing fee-based, and then Smith Barney came on, and they were more transaction. And that's back in the day, again, the 90s. So your experience was more incentive commission driven.
My experience was a little between, because we were hybrid. We had both commission-based clients and kind of advisory. Planning was still young. I think I was the first CFP.
Wow.
And in my little world.
Yep.
And it was interesting when I decided to do it. I heard a couple of things. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to? It's a good living from earning commissions and managing accounts, and it is. It is a good living. I just wanted more.
By the way, that name I was trying to think of was Sandy Weil. You remember that name?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Sorry. I had to get that off my head. Go ahead.
So my experience was a little bit different. I didn't get the you have to make the 400,000, because it just wasn't that type of firm. But there were pressures, and there were expectations that people had. That's the difference really between the big box, the big wirehouses, and the independents really. When you're looking at those type, but there's always going to be some kind of pressures and some expectations that come with it.
Yeah, it was just, it wasn't a line in the sand, and there were plenty of people who didn't make those production levels, but it was a big hot poker up the ass as to what the expectation was, which was why I went independent.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you're hired on, a lot of people at the, especially now, they see the advantage of going to work for one of the larger boxes because things are predictable. You get commissions, you get the training packages, you get all of this stuff. But what you don't see as at some point, the training wheels really come off. There's no backup cameras. There's nothing really to keep you safe anymore. And then it's almost like you're being expected to bicycle up a hill, dragging some balls and dragging some stones and everything else as fast as you can to hit those numbers.
Amen. And the cycles, I don't know. I think, and I think, I'm on the autistic spectrum, and I think in pictures, patterns, and numbers, and the cycle, the larger firms are in this, and the larger independents are in this accumulation phase.
Yeah.
And it's not about asset monitoring. It's not about it. It's about getting those corporate people in the door to do the job. You know what I'm trying to say without saying it?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So I don't want to confuse opinion with fact, but it's just very interesting what's happening right now. So when we went independent, you went from essentially like a 40% payout to 80, 90%, say, and there's some variation in that. Now, like you say, the younger person is willing to come in, manage house accounts, not have to go out and get the business and accept a lesser payout because now they've got health care.
Yep. Yeah.
They've got the 401k. And the mentality is matched with corporations more so than ever.
And that's it is what it is. It's a fine place to be. There's people that love the steadiness and the security of having the healthcare because it's a big deal. For me it was very much you got to choose your own hard.
Yeah. Your own what?
You choose your hard.
Okay.
Life is hard regardless, but you have to choose your hard. Are you going to be working, at a firm where the training wheels do come off and things are expected? That's why I never really wanted to be. The idea of being at a very big, large firm just didn't work for me. That's not who I am. I wanted to. The one thing my mentor taught me when he retired was make sure that you balance your life. You may have time for your family, have time for your girls, have time for being you, and then make time for work. And it's a very difficult balance. And for me, at some of the larger wirehouses, or at least what I see, is that wouldn't have been the type of life that I would have wanted, which is exactly why I don't think I would have been a good attorney. Right.
Yeah, same here. Being independent allowed me to do everything I needed to do for my family and for my mom.
Yeah.
And I know a couple of the smaller independents are really making efforts to infiltrate colleges, get to that younger population of people, and talk about the benefits of independence, because I can see where, especially with AI, good and bad aspects of that. I don't want to get into that, but I can see where independence, I think, can resurge as a result, because we can be competitive in ways that, and again, I can't speak to it here, but you can appreciate how we can compete with corporations, because they're, in a certain sense, they're digging their own grave. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I kind of see it as independence being the local tailor, because things are more designed to the client. The relationship with the clients is a little different, because the client doesn't really care about the big name. And that's why people are so comfortable with the larger, wirehouses. I think a lot of them, to me, kind of operate like a Costco. It's the large scale. It's the large production. You can get your bone broth and stuff for whatever the cost is. And that is a very good place for some people. But the independence, it's the tailor, it's the personalization, it's the relationship. And that is very endearing, and it's very missed in our industry, and something that we really kind of need to get back to.
Yeah. I mean, when it used to be the loyalty or the trust was in your accountant, and you and I know how little accountants know about investing. Let's not tell anybody. Anyway, I used to take pride in saying I'm not affiliated with a bank, an insurance company, or corporation. I can't say corporation anymore because my firm dabbles on both sides. But I think I don't like I can't figure out why there's so much devotion to those larger firms. I understand, capitalization. I understand established, whatever. But it just doesn't. For where we are today in society, I'm a little confused by the average person, middle class, upper middle class a person's commitment to corporate. I don't get that.
It goes back to systems. Because that's what we're taught. We're taught the safety in the systems, and the larger places are seen as institutions. Well, because they are. They're institutions. They're places where safety is seen, and humans like safety.
Yeah. I just I think I could spend an hour talking about that. It just from where I sit, I never understood say 2-3 decades ago why people trusted banks. So there's an analogy there for me that I'm trying to avoid as much as put it on the table, if you know what I mean.
Right.
There was a hard lesson learned in the banking industry. Hello, knock, knock. But I'm sorry.
And I think some of that's going to come around too.
You'd think. But it's whatever. We hinted. we hinted. So when you and this is where I'm actually flip-flopping. I think it makes more sense now to get a better beat on your personal experience before we go into your philosophies, because they largely came from your personal experience. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about what led you to a change in firms personally, or no? Touch on it or no?
I think we'll probably stay away from that one.
Okay.
I think what I can say is I've decided as I'm getting older and my priorities and my values are shifting. I wanted to be able to spend more time with my family and my girls.
Mm-hmm. How old are your girls?
Right now they are 7 and 4. So, they're young. And for me, and this goes back to my experience with the professor, she was working 7 days a week. So we'd get to see her at 4 a.m. when she'd pick us up after a shift and take us to ice skating and sleep in the car and then drop us off at school. So we didn't get to spend a lot of time. And, looking back for me, I would have rather had the time with her than the horses, and they were great experiences, but I would have rather had that personal time. It's because it's something that I value. And now that she's retired, she helps me take care of the girls. She'll take them to school and spend the time, and they have their Fridays with Gigi. it's what I value. So creating future focused wealth helped me to really balance my life a little bit better. You make the girls a priority. The very first thing that I did after creating this was take my oldest daughter to karate class, and watching her watch me watching her and karate, and seeing the smile on her face was, it was worth it. It was the balance that I think that I was missing. I didn't feel the pressure anymore to take care of everything and get everything done. I was able to kind of relax and breathe a little bit. So, the quality of life and values is really my experience.
Well, fair to say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that things caught up and you knew you had too much on your plate and you knew you had to make changes.
I did.
And go ahead.
I had gotten into a pretty big depression. Life in itself just kind of adds up. And for people that are high functioning, this is, again, the structure that my mom set in place is you work, you make hay until the sun shines. You continue saving, you continue building and building and building. What she didn't teach me was you have to learn how to stop and enjoy the sunset, because if you continue piling everything on and never get that balance, you're going to burn out. And for a lot of high functioning people, especially women, that burnout comes at a very high cost. You look at our industry itself, it's 30% women. I think it's the stats that I yeah, it's 30% women.
I don't even know. That's actually a statistic I'm glad to hear. Yeah, and you and I, when we personally spoke, that my generation, I think the 55 to 65-year-old, and again, I speculate a lot, but the generalizations are the patterns that I see. This is the generation. This is the generation of women that did do too much and are suffering deep consequences. And I think the 40-somethings said, fuck it. It is too much. I got to make a change. And that's been great for women, but inadvertently put more pressure on men to finally find that balance. And the irony in that balance in finance, follow the bouncing balls, is now our industry is still more interested in men in their 40s and supporting them with families than they ever were where we were concerned.
Right.
And that is a kick in the teeth. I had a conversation several months ago after my mom passed, and I was debating on what to do with many things in my life. But in finance, I had someone say to me when I was wanting to look at purchasing a practice, they said, we support the 40-year-old with 2 kids and a mortgage. And he meant man. He didn't mention wife. But you knew what he meant. And I just went, holy shit. Like, I just, the conversations I have today with men in their 40s, there's a lot of really angry men out there. Furious as this adjustment works its way into our lives. But it was a real tough balance. I made the same decision that I went independent for a number of reasons, but because I wanted to be there for my sons. And I again married the wrong partner, but had the I wanted to be where my boys were as much as possible. I had it in my head, if they could talk, they would tell me they wanted me there.
Yeah.
My hardships are separate from work related.
the one thing that I have got right in all of this is my second marriage, and finding somebody that supports me and understands, the hardships, and the relationships are challenging, but he did not marry me because I'm domestic. I don't cook. He will tell you that I make great reservations. And the girls know that, which I think is funny. And my grandmother would roll literally because, women did everything in the house. I can't cook, period. So he has been there to pick up some of those reins on the home front. And it allows me to come in on the work level and really kind of concentrate on the person that I am and want to be.
I was the same. I didn't cook. I didn't clean. I had a cleaning person. My ex cooked.
Yep.
But I'm hedging right now because I love the fact that you have daughters. And they get to see the balance, not only the balance, they get to see that you get to make those choices. I raised my boys, not that I would want to do it all over again, but I raised my boys very much under patriarchy, and they saw a woman doing entirely too much.
Yep.
And simultaneously, in an abusive situation, very dissociated. So we're working on it, but it was years in the making and years in the recovery. I remember my son wrote a paper, and I've told this story before, and I'm not going to say which son. When their father would come home, I would be totally dissociated. And so the boys got to see I wasn't cooking.
Yep.
I wasn't cleaning.
Yep.
And as far as my work was concerned, they were a little separated from that, but I was largely carrying the financial weight. And at that time, there was at that particular time, and carrying the financial weight didn't matter because I was a woman, and
right.
I was supposed to be doing those other things. So
if you asked the boys at that point, what would they have said that you did for a living?
I would think they would have said financial advisor.
Okay. That was it. It's funny because I hear friends, and you read the cute little notes from, when kids go to school. What does daddy do? Daddy works. What does mommy do? Take care of the house. And for me, it was, I'll be damned if that's what they say. So it was interesting for me the other day. My mom came home from karate and said my youngest was telling a new friend's parents at karate that my mom is a financial planner and she helps people with money. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this right. I'm doing this right.
It's funny because I'm saying things to you that I would not say typically on the podcast, but I think because the dissociation bled down to the kids, if you will. I think that being in the home, being on the phone, having the conversations, having them always, able to hear what was coming out of my mouth, I know had a tremendous impact in a very positive way, because both my sons for their age are very successful. And I'm now saying to them when I can, find the balance. Yep. Because they definitely got that from me. Yeah. I mean, I know they did, whether, I mean, that's about the biggest pat on the back I've ever given myself, but they heard it. They had to. They had to see how I dealt with people. I attracted personally, I wasn't attracting the best, but professionally, I was attracting very good people. Mm-hmm. You and I also, I don't know if this is how are we doing? We're
coming up on 25.
All right. So. Here's a stretch, but I think I can make it work with your help. You and I were touching on how, even though your upbringing was challenging as far as, learning to go, work. You had more issues when it came to the workplace. Now, we don't have to talk about what those are. And I said my situation was reversed. I had the more family than marital issues, and then my workplace, aside from sexism and that type of stuff, was more of a haven. And I was thinking that, and this applies to both men and women. It's not a woman only thing, but I had more of a domestic Stockholm. You with me?
Yep.
But now there's like workplace Stockholm. Where do you know what I'm trying to say? You're indoctrinated.
I do. Yeah. You come into the systems. The systems tell you how to run. The systems protect themselves. The systems, and it's not just our industry.
Right.
I mean, you look
Exactly.
at education, military.
Yes. Right.
Healthcare. I mean, literally, it is
Everything.
everywhere. So, I hear the workplace Stockholm-ish type syndromes from just conversations that I have with friends, on a New Year's Eve type thing, and a lot of them do echo. And I think for people like me, which I consider myself high functioning, it's you pour so much of what you do. Your identity becomes your career, becomes your job, becomes who you are, and you dedicate everything to it. And that's a lot of it's a little bit of what the system kind of expects. You bleed your company, and in the meantime, your company's kind of bleeding you.
See, it's not that I disagree, and it's not that you're not representing a whole host of people, but for me, It was the opposite. I was losing myself through my marriage.
Yep.
I was losing myself through, a dissociation from a childhood that I couldn't know what I knew unless other people told me, which of course was a blessing, but that didn't happen till into my 40s and into my 50s. And it's still going on, and I talk about it a lot. I don't know if you're aware, but you are making me recognize why that cosmic, that's not a good word, but this cloaking that goes on in the workplace also feeds into what we were saying earlier about corporations and why they're popular right now, despite Jamie Dimon's salary.
I mean, yeah, well.
Hello.
I know. Twitter's having their heyday on that one.
Yeah. Put a blindfold on him and put him on a stage and let me roast him. Anyway, so this kind of speaks to unconscious capitalism. We are... I think we're both capitalists. I'm a moderate politically. I see both sides. I think everything's fucked up. But can we speak to capitalism starting the third episode?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website, Natural Born Redhead. J-Ma.